Though I'm a historian working on Anne Boleyn and Elizabeth I, I have to tell you how much I respect and admire and actually really like Catherine of Aragon and her daughter Mary I of England. And I know it's a bit controversial, but I'll make a video, actually even 2 videos on Mary, because I want you to understand Mary and to clear away from all the misogynistic, sexist, or to, you know, propaganda against her reign, to have a new light on her. But that's for something else. So I have to tell you, because I'm a huge fan as well of Catherine of Aragon, I was extremely excited about the Spanish princess, and I've watched it. And this is a History Police video review of the show. So I have to say that I do like the actress. I think she's doing a great job. I have absolutely nothing against that. But there are some bits that I think we can discuss. So obviously I'm doing an overview of the show. So like, do not expect like too much detail. But I'm going to tell you what I really liked, what I would have changed, and what could have been done better.
Spain and England unite against our enemies so that my son is protected on his throne.
So at first, you know, like the first 10-14 seconds of this trailer, I love that we don't really see Catherine of Aragon at all. It's so funny, you know, like you would imagine that in the 15th second of a trailer, you would be like, you know, we're going to see the main character. And actually, no, you see the other ones. You see Arthur, you see Henry VII, and you see Elizabeth of York. And why not? Because he tells you that we're really looking at the Spanish princess, at Catherine of Aragon, through the eyes of the English. It is very much an English story when you look at it. So why not? Alright, the first thing that I find a bit funny and historically inaccurate, and it's the first thing you spot on in the trailer. So Catherine of Aragon arrived and she's veiled. She has a veil. And the veil is not at all, you know, opaque. You can really see through it. And that is not how it would have been, because it was very important for the groom not to see the bride. It was extremely, extremely important. And here, obviously, they want the face of the actress, which I understand because she's quite pretty. But that's really historically not how it would have happened.
I was not afraid of my destiny.
She said I may as well be fearful of my own reflection.
I give to you Princess Catherine of Aragon.
God will have me wed the prince. Only then can I protect Spain.
What I like is that we have in the trailer Lady Catalina, and she's black, and she was black, and she was serving, you know, Catherine of Aragon. She was probably even a slave. But here we're going to have a story around her where she's going to have more agency. She's more influential than we thought she was. And I like this kind of liberty that the showrunners are taking here. Because the start of the show is the princess, you know, Catherine of Aragon, who's going to become queen. But it's also understanding her background. It's also understanding Spanish culture. It's also understanding the cross-cultural encounters in the early modern world. And I'm going to bang on a bit about it because I do teach about cross-cultural encounters. It's a course that I'm very proud of, where you really understand that actually, you know, Europeans and people all over the world, obviously, you know, there was lots of violence and, you know, colonization and conquest, but there's also this type of relations where there is some understanding, there is some gift giving, there is some, you know, there's just much more than just violence and conquest. And I like here that we have a glimpse of this in this show. Arthur is not going to survive. We have this in the show. And then Catherine, as well as Catherine's fate is so important. But we have to remember here that when Arthur died, Henry, his brother, is going to become Henry VIII. Is only 10. And please bear that in mind because I have a bit of criticism when it comes to this. and how they made little boy being completely smitten with Catherine, which probably was true. You know, she was much older than him, but like they made him a bit, in their show, they made him a bit more confident, maybe more, you know. And I think the timeline, again, you know, we've always seen that there's a problem with the timeline and how they portray people, and I think they just want them to be more, you know, more important than actually they were. What I'm trying to say here is that they are portraying a very different Prince Henry that I would have thought myself, or what we can see in the actual archives.
Use Prince Henry. People call me Harry.
So that is what I'm saying. You know, they're introduce him. He's like already a teenage boy, like he probably even looks older than Catherine of Aragon, and that's where you miss a dynamic between Catherine of Aragon and Henry VIII. Because one of the reasons why Henry VIII is going to decide after years of a happy marriage with Catherine of Aragon to walk away from her is because she's much older than him, and he thinks that she can't give him an heir. So here, if you put Henry VIII like older than Catherine of Aragon, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. That dynamic doesn't work. Also, I think we miss here a very strong opportunity to show Catherine of Aragon much more in control of her husband. I think we tend to forget that though Henry VIII is a really cruel, narcissist king, especially in a way. I discuss that a lot in all my videos. But here, I think that we forget that when he's younger, I think he's more influenced, and I think Catherine of Aragon actually played a big role by kind of, in many ways, controlling him. He was so smitten with her, he was so admiring her, that I think that she was the shining star of England. He wasn't.
You are his brother's widow.
I came here to forge an alliance with England, and that is what I'll do.
We have obviously the question, you are his brother widow. That's going to be a problem. Catherine of Aragon and Arthur actually slept together. And there's a very interesting scene where we see Margaret Beaufort, who's made regent by Henry VII because he's poorly. So she is Henry VII's mother, and she comes to see Catherine of Aragon, forbidding her to marry Prince Harry. And she said, like, she knows that they've done it. Catherine of Aragon and Arthur had consummated their marriage. And she's like, I have ears and spies, I have ears and eyes everywhere at court, beyond court, I know everything. You know, Margaret Beaufort is like, it's really well portrayed as well, a really powerful woman, maybe beyond the scenes, but like a driving force beyond the scenes. Catherine of Aragon replies, no, you don't know what actually happened under the sheets, and yes, we gave each other pleasure, but nothing else. And she says, I remain a virgin. Margaret Beaufort is really, really annoyed. There's a clash between them. They're very angry at each other. But what's so funny here is that it's always a theme. Was Catherine of Aragon a virgin when she married Prince Henry? Did Henry VIII have the ground to get rid of his wife? I think, in many ways, it doesn't matter, because he chose her, he was happy with her, and it's only when it didn't serve his purpose anymore that he wanted to get rid of her. So, I don't really think he can say anything, and I don't really think that matters, but it's interesting that in The Spanish Princess, it is one of the storylines they go with. And I quite like it because it's such a big mystery. We'll never really know. What do I think personally? I think it would have been really hard for a Spanish princess sent to England not to consummate her first marriage.
Don't cross me, Catherine. There's nothing I won't do to save my family.
There's a scene where Elizabeth of York is a bit like, do not cross me, Catherine. There's nothing I wouldn't do for my family. I like it because it shows that Elizabeth of York was not that passive. At the same time, I'm going to tell you that, do I believe it would have happened? Not really, and I'm going to tell you why. One of my brilliant students, Tioni Passero, wrote a dissertation on Elizabeth of York a few years ago for a dissertation with me, and supervised by me. And she found out that Elizabeth of York had been writing letters to Isabel of Castile, Catherine of Aragon's mother. And in these letters, basically you see that these two women were very much in charge of these marriage negotiations between Arthur and Catherine of Aragon. And in these letters, Elizabeth of York is everything but bold or, you know, aggressive or like that type of character. But more importantly, she said that she will love Catherine as a daughter. And I really believe that it was much more a mother-daughter relationship than anything else. I think she completely adopted Catherine of Aragon. You can see in the letters. So that scene, though, I love the sassiness of Elizabeth of York. I don't really buy it.
Our alliance is in shreds.
We have the big scene of Catherine of Aragon going to war. So that is quite interesting. In 1513, Catherine was made regent when Henry VIII was going to war against France. And during that time, Scotland declared war to England. So she was in charge. And she did go up north with the army. However, she didn't lead the army at all. But what's so very interesting is I think here they depict such a warrior queen. And I think it works in many ways. It works, and I'm going to tell you why it works. Because enough of these women who can't fight. And also Catherine of Aragon comes from mother, Isabel of Castile, who was a warrior queen, who went to battles. We know that, even pregnant. So I think in a way, showing her in a more warlike representation, it doesn't really bug me. It's not historically accurate. She didn't lead the army. She went there. She gave a speech. She was extremely powerful, extremely respected. But, you know, did she actually went to battle pregnant and then she's going to have, obviously, a miscarriage later on? No, I don't think so. But it doesn't mean here that it doesn't work. It works because it really shows the warlike personality of Catherine of Aragon. And it shows that she comes from a family of warrior queens, of strong female leaders. And I absolutely love that.
I'm the daughter of the greatest monarchs this world has ever known.
I like that we give a bit of sass to Catherine of Aragon. She said, I'm the daughter of the greatest monarchs I've ever ruled. It's quite true. You can't really beat Ferdinand and Isabel. You just can't. Like, that's just a fact.
I think I will give anything to have our son alive.
This scene is after Catherine went to battle and she lost their baby boy. Do you see here what is not working? How much, you know, he looks either the same age or, you know, even older than her. And that just doesn't work. But here you see that obviously what I like is how we show Catherine of Aragon suffering from losing her son. Because the truth is, I think that we don't talk about this enough. The miscarriages, the stillborn, it had affected the real Catherine so much. And I think here it's so well portrayed in this show. We can see the emotion on the face of the actress. We see her strength, but also her vulnerability. And for me, that really works.
I wish that you could be a wife instead of a soldier.
But then I'd be someone else.
I don't think, again, that would have worked because, that, you know, she didn't actually fight. So here there's kind of like, you know, disagreement or argument, whatever you want to call it, between Henry and Catherine of Aragon would not have happened.
And you want me, Henry?
I don't. Not now.
Don't lie. You've always wanted me. And Henry, I want you so badly.
That's the story, right? Like, he says, like, I don't want you. And then she's like, you've always wanted me. And there's a real true love story as well between Henry and Catherine of Aragon. I think we kind of dismiss it sometimes, and I don't think we should. I think it's quite powerful. I think it's a quite powerful love story, despite the way he's going to turn against her. Overall, I think it is a very interesting portrayal of Catherine of Aragon. It's pretty something, I would have chosen something a bit more, you know, just a bit less fearless and sassy. It's not the representation I have of the real Catherine of Aragon, but maybe I'm completely wrong about this. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you. But I have to say, overall, I think it's a very good show. I think it's very entertaining. I think the acting is good. Finally, we have Catherine of Aragon in the spotlight, and I could not love this more. I really hope you enjoyed this review for History Police, and don't forget to check my other videos if you're interested, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for your support. It means a great deal to me. Thank you. Bye.